You're not ready yet.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of the NukeStream. I have a guest today. He is Paul from Come On Man Pod. You might have seen him when I do Rule Zero. He also interviewed me when I was just starting out. He is the World Manosphere Champion until someone comes to take the belt from him. And he is one of the most enlightened and switched on people that I've known in terms of this dating stuff. So it's great to have you on, man. Go ahead and let everyone know who that mug was in that title card that they just saw.
Oh, you're talking about the
intro, the thumbnail.
The thumbnail. Oh yeah, Nuke says, "Hey Paul, do you have a picture?" And I was like, "Yeah, here. These are like the three I use for my thumbnails." And so I have like one where I'm just standing there like, my shit don't stink, right? Like that's this picture. And then I have one where I'm looking like, this is fucking weird, right? Like this is and then I have one where I'm like shocked, like, oh my God, because the shock face gets you more views on YouTube because people are easily duped by thumbnails. So that's what I've learned. I learned that from Ryan Stone, actually. He and Rolo have some stock photos of them looking shocked for no dumb reason, and then they'll occasionally throw that in a thumbnail, and it's just fun.
It's hilarious, yeah. Actually, your shocked one is pretty good. I gotta like. So, did you take like a professional camera? Or you just use your webcam to take them?
I just use my cell phone, like right here by the with the sunlight coming out of the window. I just took some selfies.
They're so
and
good.
then I removed the background. There's like a website I use to remove the background, and there you go. Good to go.
Yeah. Well, I have them now too, so I can use them whenever we do collabs or something like that. But yeah, so topic of today is vetting, right? It's one of those things where, the manosphere, whatever you call this, right? They're really big on, because no one wants to get in a relationship with a girl and then later on find out she's a huge slut, but with everyone except you, or has a lot of debt, or just overall in a very bad situation, and you're a part of it whether you want to or not. So, but the problem is that again, one of the biggest problems of the male self-improvement space is that guys want to control. They have control issues. They want to control outcomes, right? That's why they're afraid of rejection, right? Or approaching women, because what if she rejects me and I look stupid, right? Or they're afraid of getting married or not getting married or dating a certain type of woman. It's just like, dude, the goth chick that looks hot, if you go have sex with her, you're not going to die, go have fun,
Well, also, I mean, you might. I mean, it just depends on the STD level. But there's some nuance to this.
yeah, exactly. And that's what we're here for, guys. Like, this is the nuance part of the red pill, the part that everyone doesn't want to put in the effort to understand, because at the end of the day, saying woman bad, man victim is easier than saying, than looking deep into yourself and doing the work. Because the red pill is not about women; it's about you as a man, right? Like, what can you do to increase your sexual options and not yelling at women or being mad at them? Because you'll never get those years back. The years you spend mad at women and blaming them, or blaming the government, or blaming whoever, your parents or yourself, right? You're never going to get those years back, right? You want to have a plan and execute, and when a plan doesn't work, change it and move forward. So what we're here to discuss today is vetting, and me and Paul have a small disagreement about whether vetting. So we're gonna start beefing. We're gonna go on 3 debates, and then he's gonna say
it's gonna be a very heated debate. Okay, I can't. I'm a master debater. I master debate frequently.
Yes, but the difference between this debate and others is that you guys will actually get value out of this, and we'll let you choose who's right. And I think at the end of this, I think me and Paul are gonna agree. That's the prediction. We're gonna agree on everything.
That's the thing is I don't debate. I'm happy to have a discussion about certain things, but I'm also okay with like agreeing to disagree with people.
Yeah.
When I have people on my show, I often have people that have viewpoints that I just don't agree with, and I don't even argue with them. I'm just like, oh, okay, like that's your viewpoint, cool. Let my audience decide, because honestly, online debates are just one big circle jerk, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm on Team Nuke. I'm on Team Nuke, and we're gonna watch him fucking destroy Paul. And no matter what I say, you're destroying me because they're on Team Nuke. It's like so.
And then and then you put the what do you call it? Those pictures that you sent me over a thumbnail and be like, Nuke dies. Nuke gets destroyed by Paul. Watch how I destroy him. And it's just us having a normal conversation or something.
Yeah, we're just discussing this stuff. Yeah. And I think just you and I just chatting backstage about this. I think we are going to be 100% on the same page with all of this.
Yeah.
Honestly. But yeah, let's get into it, cuz this basically started because Ryan Stone, the great Ryan Stone, the world's best red pill couch, he wrote an article. How long ago was this? 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2019, wrote an article about how basically vetting doesn't work. Like, vetting's bullshit. And so that's really largely what we're going off of here. And let me just say this about Ryan Stone. He's a fucking genius. He's got perfect teeth. He's gonna
pop in and yell at you in the chat.
His fucking hair is just like on point. There's never a piece of hair out of place. Fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's got 3 books. I only have 1 book. Fuck that guy. But anyway, that's but this article actually makes a lot of sense. So I'll let you this is your show.
No, man, please. You are my guest. So we got Beer Club in the house. Thanks to all the Beer Club guys that came to watch this, right? So yeah, I love your Beer Club, man. It's hilarious. All the memes in there. So guys, join the Beer Club. It's the coolest, it's the funniest, coolest group of guys out there. They're all just regular dudes, and especially for you guys that have trouble or in a place in life where you don't have a lot of people to talk to, it's good to reach out. And it doesn't have to be for female advice on women. It could just be like, hey, I have this project. Someone in the Beer Club probably knows how to fix something or do something, so
we had a guy today that posted a picture. He's having water problems in his house, and one guy was like, he's like, where are you at? He's like, I know the guy that runs Cooligan up there. Let me get you in contact with that guy. And like, it's just it's a good place to network. Any kind of thing. And then most of the guys are just in there talking a bunch of shit.
Sharing memes. It's hilarious.
It's funny.
Yeah, guys, I think it's what, $5 a month, and you guys have 1 meeting a month.
It's $10 a month, but if you pay for the whole year, it ends up being only $8 a month.
Yeah.
So I'll drop a link here in a second.
Yeah, go ahead. And then we got Nurse Chick, Paul's WWF queen, who's always tagging him in to win these matches to maintain his title of World Manosphere Champion.
That's
so
right.
Nice to see that, Nurse Chick.
She's actually a champion fitness competitor. She like was it last year we went to Utah and you won one of those titles? It was pretty good. She's going back this year. She's got reigning, defending. So we're going back this year to defend the title. Actually, they don't defend titles, but we're going back again. So
gotcha. All right, and then we got my followers, Matthew W. And we got Base Oracle in the chat. What's up, man? How you doing? All right, so let's get right into it, Paul. We talked enough. Let's get right into vetting, right? So Ryan Stone, one of the premier content creators in the space. I've been reading his stuff for a while. Paul's reading his stuff. He just dropped the book Dread because he saw a kind of like a weak spot in content that's been created to help guys. A lot of guys don't understand Dread. They think it's just blatantly hitting on women in front of your wife, to establish dominance as a man when she doesn't want to give you a blowjob or something, that's very far from the truth, right? So pick that up when you guys have a chance. If you haven't, very useful. But he has an article, like Paul was saying, where there's 7 reasons why vetting is not a good strategy, right? And Paul is agreeing to disagree, and we're going to talk about this. And we will start with number 1, right? Number 1, should I bring this up on the page? Yeah, let me present it. Cheers.
You can. I also dropped a link to it in the chat. Does this go to actually like to ryanstone.com? Does it go to his? I mean, this one is the link I have here is from the Red Pill archive, but
yeah, it goes straight to the archive, I think. I'm not
sure.
Here's
the original link. Is it up? No, we couldn't find the link. So thank God it's on the Red Pill archive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ryan probably has it on like because of Substack or something like that. He probably took all this old shit down.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Arch Warrior? Nice to see you. Good luck with the kids. He said he was gonna watch, and he is watching. So great.
Yeah. You tell that baby. You tell that baby. You just sit here and watch Nuke and Paul with me. Maybe learn something, baby, and then go to bed an hour later. There.
Exactly. All right. So number 1, men do not know what they want in life. Men have a wonderful ability to rationalize what the world offers, transforming it what men wanted all along. A vetting list is guesswork and post hoc rationalization. All right. Let's start with you, Paul. Like, what is the problem with this? Do you agree with it, and how would you change it if you disagree with it?
I do agree. I do agree with it. I agree 100% with it. He's right. Men don't know what the fuck they want. 97% of guys have no clue what they want. They get into relationships with the first girl that sits that touches their pee-pee, and that's no way to get into a relationship, right? What I teach in my book is to actually sit down and figure out what the fuck you want. Like, what do you want in a relationship?
It's the hardest question. It's the hardest question to ask yourself.
Right. Because if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. Right. So yeah, he's right. If men don't know what they want, then how can they have a vetting list? Right. Mm-hmm. 1, 2. And then 2, vetting list is guesswork and post hoc rationalization. That's probably true too, because I mean, usually you're sitting down going, okay, what would my ideal girl look like? Right. And you're sitting there and you're just sort of imagining what kind of qualities this woman would have. Now he goes in and talking about values. That's in the next one, but it's like, I've never even thought about it as far as values go. It's all based on like her actions and features of her body, how she treats me, how she treats other people, like that kind of stuff. So maybe that's what he means by values. But I sort of look at that like qualities I want. But yeah, if you don't sit down and like write that stuff out, like how do you know? And so a lot of the times you are guessing. Yeah. And then the post hoc rationalization would be like you go on a few dates and maybe you even start dating a couple of girls seriously that have some of these traits, and you realize, you know what, that trait that I wrote down isn't actually what I want, or maybe right, it's not that important, or maybe you miss something. You're like, you know what, this bitch is acting this way. So one thing that I recommend is if you do make yourself a list, and I highly recommend you do make a list, and that's only if some kind of long-term relationship is even what you want, right? Because some like our friend Rob says never wants anything serious, and he's happy that way. He's happier not being tied down to a particular girl. Mm-hmm. And there are guys out there like that, believe it or not. So if you're not going to be tied down to any one girl anyway, then none of this makes any kind of sense. It's really only makes sense if you want some kind of long-term relationship. So you make your list. It's important to revisit that list like all the time. Like you need to sit there and go back and go, are these chicks that I'm dating, do any of them check these boxes? And should I remove some of these things? Maybe I'm being too picky. Maybe I'm not being picky enough. Like you have to keep reviewing some of this stuff. So yeah, it is post hoc rationalization a lot of the time, but that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. You want to review that list.
Yeah, and it's important that guys, obviously there's some guys due to their beliefs, they can't date around anything or anyone. Maybe it's because of environment, maybe because they're in a country where all the women are the same. Like there's certain countries where like everyone shares the same beliefs and acts the same.
Oh,
But
Nuke, all women are the same. We know that.
but as a guy, one of the hardest questions you can ask yourself is, what do you want? And that's scary because guys will instead follow an alpha male guru, or they'll do what their dad did and marry a woman like their mom or something, because that's all they know, right? They haven't gone out and tasted different types of women and lifestyles which they would like. And this goes beyond just women. It goes for what you want to do with your job, your career, where do you want to live, all these things that people are constantly telling you what to do, what's the best for you. But you have to be the one to decide, because when things don't go well, even if you follow everyone's advice and things don't go well like you want, you can't go back to those people and say, hey, this was your fault. They're just going to laugh in your face, So,
yeah. Like, you were dumb enough to listen to me.
Yeah. And then I would say this is for young men that, younger guys that tend to be like the guys that know themselves the least. A lot of people and a lot of institutions, a lot of societal conventions, they're going to tell you like, you want a girl with a low body count, with like, you want a virgin, right? And then maybe one day you'll sleep with a virgin and you're going to be like,
yeah.
it was not special.
Yeah.
Like, this girl's still like, I don't like her. Like, she's a weird girl. Like, I don't feel that connection, but I took her virginity. Don't feel anything,
Yeah. So yeah, it is. That's where post hoc rationalization comes in, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like that, like sometimes you don't know what you really want until you experience certain things. And then you go, oh shit, actually I don't like that. So
yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with the post hoc rationalization part, honestly.
Okay. Well, a lot of times too, men's ego is embroiled into their choices of women and their vetting list, because they want to show, just like how women say, I only date guys that are 6 feet tall and make this amount of money, even though it's not true. They're just saying things. Men do the same thing. We're just like, I want girls that are low body count and do this and do that and are like traditional and all that stuff. But you may find that one day you'll date a girl with a career, and you'll be like, wow, this girl's busy. I have so much time to myself. And she comes over anyway and does things to be a good girlfriend. This is awesome. Like, who told me this was a bad idea? Or you could be the guy that's simply like, hey, I am the type of guy that I can be around my girl more than the average man. I don't want her to be working long hours. I want her to, it all depends on what the man wants, because eventually you're the one that has to go out and get it and deal with it. So,
well, that's where that actually sort of is a good segue for item number 2, right? Whereas vetting a woman is vetting for values. The question is, whose values?
Mm-hmm.
And,
sure. Andrew Tate's values, Paul's values, my values. Yeah, who knows?
Right. And man, we were actually just having this discussion in the Dragon Ships chat, because I think this Saturday's episode of Dragon Ship, I think Huds is hosting. If you guys don't watch Dragon Ship, what are you doing with your life? That's it's one of our 2 panel shows, back-to-back panel shows on Saturday, and Nuke and I are on both of those, right? Rule Zero and Dragon Ship, and we're going to be talking about single moms on Saturday, and because it's Mother's Day on Sunday, right? So we got to give a shout out to the moms out there by doing a single mom red pill show. And I, like Rich Cooper, for instance, right? And not to take anything away from Rich Cooper, I've read his book Unplugged Alpha twice. It's a great book, but he's got a whole chapter on 20 red flags. And then and one of the red flags is never date a single mom. So single mom by itself being a red flag. And then he goes on to have a whole entire chapter about why single moms are trash. Right. So there's and he's got a huge following, right? So there's this huge sort of viewpoint in the red pill, men's content space that single moms are trash. Well, you know, like and I've always been one of those guys that I don't have a problem with single moms, but I'm also a single dad. So my situation's not like it, you know, you young bucks out there that have never that don't have any kids of your own, that have never been married and stuff like that, you know. So for me, I don't have a problem with single moms. They're actually quite convenient with my parenting schedule.
Oh yeah, my best
You
friend, he
know?
has two daughters, right?
Yeah.
And he used to tell me like, hey, um, dating single moms, like not like the the irresponsible thought mommies in the club, like moms that just had they just made a bad decision and life happens, but they are good moms, they are responsible. He said like it's so awesome because they understand what like they understand like that you are a father and the kids come first, and then you understand that their kids come first. And it tends to be much easier, communication's better, and you guys are both in the same point of life, right? And you've already
Mhm.
had kids, your reproductive problem is solved. Maybe you'll have one if you want, but it just logistically makes a lot of sense, and it cuts out a lot of the drama that comes with being a single parent.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
makes a
yeah,
lot of sense.
and I get guys that are like, okay, yeah, you know, single moms are for fun, but I would never marry one. I'm like, well, I ain't marrying anybody, so like, why? It's not an issue for me, right?
Yeah.
So that comes down to mental point of origin, right? So
Mhm.
whose values? And
Right.
for me, like, you know, having someone that understands my parenting schedule, that's a value for me, and single moms often fit that bill. So for me, that's fine. For you, maybe not so much, but that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
like you got to be your own. You got to figure out what your values are. So I also agree with Ryan on this. That son of a bitch. He's so fucking smart. But it really does come down to you got to figure out what your values are, and you can't be. You can take other people's values if it makes sense for you, you know, but if it doesn't make sense for you, you can disregard it. It's okay. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, so what happens is guys, they start looking up to these people that make content or athletes or artists, all that stuff, and they're just like, I need a girl that's a virgin. And I'm like, dude, you're 25, you don't understand women. Or, oh, I need a girl that cooks and cleans and is submissive to me. I'm like, yeah, you want to, it's not a, this word submissive around a lot. You know what you like? You know what most guys mean by that? They mean likable, you know, like a pleasure to be around. And
Uh-huh.
that's one of the biggest things. This is like a Patrice O'Neill quote where like women and men, we focus on so much women being lovable, which means like being submissive, and great, that's good, right? You don't want someone that's constantly arguing you for against you for every single decision, right? But
Yeah.
also you want to be someone that's likable, someone that's like you're going to spend a lot of time with this person. Why would you want to be with someone that fits every single thing that about chastity and low body count, all that stuff, but they're just not likable, they're not enjoyable to be around, they're not,
Yeah.
and it boils down to this. Like one of the things I noticed is that through my dating life, there is this thing in the Twitter sphere where like women are supposed to be these like dumb, near useless, hot young girls that don't know how to do anything, like don't know how to do anything. They're just hot, and you got to protect them, and they can be hot and sexy, hang out by the pool all day, like a trophy wife. And then I dated a couple really competent girls that got up early, got to work. They cooked, they took care of their parents, they did all these things, and I'm like, I like that. I like that women that aren't children, that like, you don't have to be perfect. Obviously, you probably don't know how to change the oil in your car. That's fine. I can do that for you. But I don't want a girl that I have to like remind that she has to drink water every day. Like I don't want a girl that I have to tell her every time she comes over where to park because she forgets because she's just such an airhead, right?
Hmm.
And I think a lot of guys get confused because they're like, well, that just means you're on a man. I'm just like, according to who? I want to date an adult. I want to date a person that is fun to be around, but like I don't have to like babysit all the
Yeah.
time.
Wait,
So
it's funny since I've been, you know, in the manosphere. The we love to say certain buzzwords, right? Like, and one of them being women are delusional, right?
Mhm.
I think most guys that watch this content are fucking delusional. Like they are super delusional. Like they want to They want a virgin. I'm like, where the fuck are you going to find one these days? You know,
Yeah.
like where are you going for dates at the convent? You know, like you might, if you're a young buck, and you know, like let's say 18, 19, you might find a girl coming out of high school that's still a virgin. You might. It's probably not going to happen though. If you're my age, if you're pushing 45, I'm gonna be 45 this year. If you're 45, fuck off. You are not finding a virgin to date. You're not. You're completely delusional at this point, you know?
Yeah.
And
And even billionaires, those creepy billionaires, they're paying hundreds of, if not millions of dollars just to take girls' virginity. So it's like, dude, let that go, man. Let that
yeah,
go.
yeah. And so and even, you know, the Godfather himself, you know, Rolo, cross our hearts when we say his name. Rolo, he says it all the time too. Like you're not gonna find a virgin, guys. Just get over it. You're not.
And if
And
you do, is she gonna be like the girl you want? Like she might, that doesn't automatically mean she's the perfect girl, right?
Yeah.
She's not also that doesn't mean she's gonna be soul bonded to you for the rest of your life, and you can let your standards go as a man and be complacent because you were there first, right? That's not how that works, right?
No. Yeah. It's some guys are just completely unrealistic with that kind of stuff, you know. The average guy who's my age is and I'm being real with you. You can learn all the game you want if you're not like super totally jacked and stuff like that. And like you're probably not going to be dating a whole lot of 22-year-olds, you know. You're probably not. And that's okay, you know. But whatever, like you need to sort of maybe set your expectations realistically. I do believe like any guy can get any kind of girl he wants if he works on his muscles, money, game, and frame. Shout out to MLD. But in order to get the kind of women you want, you have to become the kind of guy that would get a girl like that, you know. And most of the guys in this space aren't. So it's like, okay, now you got to set your expectations. What kind of work are you willing to do?
Exactly.
If you're not willing to do the work, well, okay,
it's just not gonna pop out the sky. Yeah,
yeah. It doesn't just you're not just owed this shit. Now you're sounding like one of these chicks on Fresh and Fit. They're like, I want a man that pays my bills and shit. Like, fuck off, dude. You're you're not just owed pussy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's guys that are like, I enjoy Hispanic women. I'm like, well, dude, are you hitting the salsa clubs? Are you learning to dance? Because that's where they are, and they like that. No, that's gay. I was like, oh God, dude. Okay, look, it's like the Ronnie Coleman quote, like everyone want big ass muscles, but don't know one want to lift no heavy ass weight.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, betting for values, right? Ultimately, in conclusion for this one, I'd say you want to figure out your own values and are your values realistic? And as you did, you're gonna realize like, oh, I didn't want a virgin. I just wanted a girl that isn't a hoe, right? And virgin was like an emotional protection for me. I'm like, there's plenty of women that aren't hoes, dude, and there's plenty of women that will be hoes just for you, right? And what I've realized in my dating thing is that a lot of women are waiting for a guy they can be a hoe with. They'll mess around and date, but they're just waiting for that guy they can feel comfortable, that he's attractive enough, and then once you make them feel good and safe with, and give them that comfort, like, hey, I'm not gonna judge you, like I'm just a guy, like I just want to have fun. We like each other. Once those her walls come down, then get ready, because very few guys are able to make women feel comfortable sexually, right? Because they have this thing where like this energy where they give off like, I want you to be this pure little angel that everyone taught me you should be, and it's just like, no, dude, trust me, you want her to be normal and happy, and then when it's time to have sex, to be a dirty little girl for you, just for you.
Yeah, Nurse Chick and I were having this discussion this weekend because I told her about the book My Secret Garden. Have you read that?
I did. It's on my list, but somehow I don't want to read it, but I think I have to at this point. I don't want to know what's inside there.
My reading list is ridiculously long, so it's been on my list. It's been on my list since Sterling Cooper told me about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I mentioned it to Nurse Chick. I said, "Hey, there's this book out there. It was written in like the late 60s, early 70s, and it was a compilation of letters where women were allowed to write in about their fantasies, and they were anonymous, so they were very honest with their fantasies. And and when you read these fantasies, they're fucking dirty, right? Like they're filthy. They're filthy fucking dirty fantasies. And this is like your grandma, okay? Like this is your grandma having this filthy fucking dirty fantasy. And they were open about it because they weren't judged because it was anonymous, right? So I told Nurse Chick about it. And Nurse Chick she's she had, you know, her son ran into some medical issues this weekend, so she was down by her house most of the weekend. And then so while she was down there, she's like, "Hey, what's that audiobook?" So I told her about it. She listened to it like on the way home, and she tells me about it, the first story in there. She goes, "Holy shit!" Like the first story is wild, you know,
Straight out the gate.
just straight out the gate, wild story. And the lady who put everything together, basically like the intro of the book, she explains it. She says, "Look, when I had this idea for this book, I brought it up at dinner, and this guy goes, 'Well, why would women want to have fantasies if they're married?' You know?" And he's like, "Honey, you don't have fantasies, do you?" And the wife was like, no, of course not, honey." And she goes, "It was at that moment I knew that these letters had to be anonymous so that women would feel comfortable telling their stories because they're constantly feeling judged by guys, right?" And so that all comes down to the Madonna whore complex, you know? Like as soon as a woman shows her like ultra dirty sexual side, a lot of guys are like, "Oh, she's a hoe. She ain't fucking LTR material." And it's like she's still the same chick, man, you know? So they end up marrying chicks that give them starfish sex because they'll shame the shit out of them. And then they'll go and jerk off to porn because that's what they really want. It's like, well, if you would just allow your girl to feel comfortable enough to express that with you, she probably would. But she knows that you're going to fucking dump her and go, "You're a whore, bitch," because, you know, you watch too much Fresh and Fit.
Yeah. There have been, you know, these discussions that I'm having today where everyone's like, porn is a downfall of society, right? It's not the best thing to do as a guy, but you'll be surprised how many women are into that stuff and they enjoy it and they'll send it to you once you're like, there are women that like, I can have 15-minute conversations on, you know, on the phone about sex, just sex. And it's so weird because at first I was like, man, this girl's really open with me. And then I realized, oh, she just feels really comfortable. And this is the first time in a long time a guy hasn't like implied that he hates anything to do with like women being sexual or promiscuous, you know. And then she feels very safe, you know, and it's just like a lot of guys will be like, "No, that's bad." I'm like, "No, dude, it'll make that relationship 10 times better. You'll like her more, she'll like you, and then, you know, you're offering her something that very few men can give her. That's sexual freedom, you know."
Fucking awesome, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's fucking awesome. Okay, yeah.
So stop vetting your women sexually. If a girl's a hoe, it'll come out eventually.
Well, so in my books, shameless plug, right? I talk about writing out a list. Okay. And actually, if you get the paperback, you can see the illustration of the list. If you listen to it on Audible, you won't know what's going on. But one of the things I have, like, as an example of things I want, is a chick that's highly sexual with me. You know, like that. To me, that's a value. That's I don't want a chick that's a fucking prude, you know, in the bedroom. And a lot of that, though, does come down to how you make her feel, and does she feel comfortable enough to unleash that sexual side. And it also comes down to, does she fucking like you or not? You know, because if a chick's not that into you, she's not going to be super overly sexual with you, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, so that we're still on number 2. We're still on number 2 here. Yeah. But so it's vetting women for values. Oh, and you were talking about you know, wanting a girl that's submissive, right? I want a girl that's submissive. Well, how do you find that? I often tell guys, there's really like kind of 2 things you want to test women for while you're out dating, right? You want to test for interest. And a lot of that comes down to telling her what to do. You tell her what to do. Does she do it? or she
We're
give you a bunch
going
of
here.
shit.
Yeah, we're going here for this date.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. And if
See you
she's
there.
like, oh, that sounds great. Right. And if you tell a girl what to do and she just does it without question and she follows your lead, that's a chick that is probably what you would call submissive. You know, she follows your lead naturally. She doesn't fight you on everything. If a
Mhm.
chick's just constantly fighting you on everything, just fucking dump that bitch right there. Just
Mhm. She
she's
doesn't
not
like
it.
it much. Yeah, she doesn't like
And
you
it
that much.
and that comes down to actions over words, right? Acta non verba. And so you can have that on your list of like I have here whatever. I actually don't have this on here, right? Like, but if that's on your list, right? I want a chick that follows my lead. Well, you got to test for that and see if she does it. And it just just got to watch her actions or not. She either does or she doesn't. You know?
Yeah, and that's really like all you can do is just say, "Hey, let's do this." If she says yes, then okay. And throughout the whole date until she says stop, you keep going. You know.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to number 4. Vetting for number 3. Sorry, vetting only
Yeah.
works if everyone is doing. I think there's a typo. Vetting only works if everyone is immunized from everything else. I think
Yo,
he
what
means.
does he mean by that?
Hold on, let me read the first line of the. Let me scroll down here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Man's ego says that. Okay, I think what he's trying to say. Go back up here. If everyone it's doing is everything is immunized from everything else.
Oh, so this is so he's like everyone has to play by the same rules and women just don't.
Right. So this is a big deal with the more traditional types, like the trad cons and all that stuff, because there's a quote that says trad women aren't loyal to men. They're loyal to the rules, right? They aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to the rule. I think Whisper said that in an article.
Yeah.
And it means that women are more loyal to the rules of the Bible or whatever faith you have than you as a guy, right? Which, depending on your faith and your religion, how you see the world is probably a good or bad thing, right? But also, women are changing the rules. That's the big issue we have now, right? So there are little, porn stars that are, becoming the voice of women in terms of repentance, right? And she's one of those people that are going to change the rules. And the rules are like, hey, it doesn't matter how bad you were as a woman or what you did or what you said or what, that if you just dunk yourself in water, all is forgiven within a month. And you can go on, continue to do the same thing, but with more clothes on. And and as a guy, you have to look at that and be like, hey, I can vet a woman. If you didn't know anything about a certain woman's past and you just saw her church behavior, like for that snapshot in that moment, you would think, hey, this is the girl for me, right? But you and her don't abide by the same rules of life. You're a man and she's a woman, right? So you have to understand that women get forgiven for a lot of things that they do, and you don't. So just because a woman in the moment is doing the right things doesn't mean that she did the right things in the past. So the best you got is, give her a little bit of time and realize that, because you and her aren't abiding by the same rule book, that she can break your rules and it won't be breaking her rules, So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of and I think I kind of get what he's saying with this. It's sort of like how women reserve the right to change their mind at any given time, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah. Which is a talking point of when I say no, oh, I feel guilty.
Yeah, so I can kind of see that, and it does seem like a lot of these things that Ryan's writing about are really geared towards trad cons, because and I think a lot of that too is trad cons. They do seem to think that marriage is some kind of magic cure all for whatever. I don't know what they're trying to cure with it, and then they think that there's going to be some kind of guarantee, like putting that ring on it guarantees something. I have on Twitter a couple of tweets where it's like you don't have to get married to have kids, right? You don't have to get married to live with your girlfriend. You and her can live together and take care of the kids and not be married, right? And people are just getting all mad about it. And someone's like, no, look, you can't do that because someone can leave at any time. I'm like, have you ever heard of fucking divorce? Like, she can still leave at any time. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
That's the beta way of thinking. Betas want to imprison women in marriage because they
Yeah.
think that, you know, I'm like, wouldn't you want your wife to choose you every day over the alternative? Don't you? Why would you want to be with a woman that doesn't want to be with you anymore?
Right.
Obviously,
The state
yeah.
says, okay, now you can leave anytime you want, but there's extra steps and there's going to be a lot of money involved. Like,
And a lot of, yeah, it's going to be a very
what?
long process. It's going to be very painful and long for you.
Yeah. And by the
So,
way, you're probably going to benefit from this, ladies. So it does behoove you to go ahead and move forward with this. It's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like, what? No, stop.
So yeah, basically you set rules and you expect her to play by them, but she's not going to play by them just because, right? You may have just met her or you're learning about her, or you know, you're in your vetting process, so to speak, and you say, hey, I don't like women that are promiscuous, right?
Mhm.
But she just graduated Arizona State University. You have no power, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like put her in a box and say you can't be promiscuous. That's all. All she's gonna do is do the same thing but behind your back if she decides to pursue you, right? Just, I think this whole thing with like purity and chastity that men are trying to get. I understand it's a biological thing, right? But you sending out these like little kind of like prayers into the universe that every woman you meet will automatically leave that life for you. You know, like that's,
Yeah.
you know, and
It's
you're like,
unrealistic. Yeah.
yeah, it's unrealistic. And hey, if she doesn't turn out to be the type of girl, you know, you could always have fun or leave her. You know, you can always leave. You know,
It kind of reminds me of the whole like body count thing, right? And like we know in this space because we're in this space, but we know that body count is an issue and that there's studies that show about pair bonding and blah blah blah. But we also know, because we're not socially retarded, Nuke, that you can't really ask a chick what her body count is while you're out on a date, because you know she'll never be honest with you about it. So
yeah,
what do you
they even
do?
forget. They don't even remember who, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like you'll never.
So it's like, so what do you do? Well, then you just watch what her actions are towards you. You know, and
It's the
that's all
best
you can
got.
do.
That's the
Does
best
she
you got. Yeah.
does she treat you like fucking awesome? Then who gives a fuck? You know, at some point you just gotta be like, I'm worried about the wrong things.
Yeah.
You know, um,
And
and
sometimes she may even look like the type of girl that has a high body count, but she's doing everything that a low body count woman would do. So it's just like, oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
it's like, so it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting topic, and a lot of guys are like, well, if she's had us a high body count, well then she's probably alpha widowed. So what does that say about you? Because if you get with a chick and all she can think about while she's with you is some other guy, that means you don't have any fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, you're a
And
piece of shit. You're a
there are
piece of
extreme,
shit, dude.
yeah, there are extreme cases where the girl just came back from like banging the whole football team, the whole Chicago Bears or the whole Miami Dolphins, right? But that's like 0.0001% of female population, right?
Yeah.
Most
No,
guys aren't jacked. Most guys have no game. Most guys don't have any motivation. Most guys are boring. And
yeah.
you have to see, if you're already here learning about, if you even know what the red pill is, you're probably already on the right path, you know? So yeah, let me get these
The real red pill, though.
the real
Like,
red pill. Right?
I'm talking about like the swapping the notes and actually bettering ourselves, not just fucking like, you know, giving girls
Yeah.
White Claws and kicking them off podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm about to kick you off here in a second. Do you have your White Claw on you?
oh, no White Claw tonight, man.
Ah, damn it. How am I supposed to kick you off? I gotta follow the procedure. All right.
Oh,
Let me get the super chat. We got
yeah.
a $5 super chat from Edwin Mike Sell.
Thank you so much, best friend.
I like that.
$10. Great show and value. Thanks. Is he one of yours?
Yeah, he's in the beer club.
Hey, man. Thanks for
Dude, Mike's like Ed's a pimp, dude. He's in his 60s, fucking looking jacked right now. Just
He's gotta be one of those OG guys. I was telling this guy I was consulting that, you know, the OGs have all the knowledge. We just gotta ask them.
He
full of knowledge.
Since he and I have been working together, he's lost like it was like almost 20 pounds now, I think 15, 20 pounds. And he was sending me some pictures, and I'm like, dude, he's fucking jacked. He's like in his 60s. I was like, dude, every guy around you probably is walking around with a pacemaker and a fucking walker and shit. And here you are. Here you are. Look at you, man. Yeah, no, he's awesome.
Yeah. All right, we got another $4.99. You get one of these, sir.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right, AD with the $4.99. My sister has become obese, and I care about her, but I don't know how to tell her without her crying and eating more. Any advice? Appreciated. Well, in terms of trying to tell people that you care about how to live their life, I guess there's only so much you can do. I know that's the hard thing. What's your situation? Do you live with her? Do you live nearby? Is she going through something? The best you can do is tell her, hey, this isn't healthy for you, and then be there for them anyway, right? Because if you do love her, but yelling at her every day that you're fat isn't, women aren't like men, So
women respond very well to praise. I would say, like, people like that have to want to change themselves. I used to be a cigarette smoker. It took me like 20 times to quit before I finally did, because I really wanted to quit. It's one of the hardest things I ever did, but I couldn't quit because my mom was nagging me. I couldn't quit because my wife was nagging me. I couldn't quit because everyone was telling me it was bad for me. I had to want to quit myself. So that's the same situation with someone losing weight. They have to want to do it. But if you are the type of person that, doesn't talk about it and you're all about it, and you set the example and you make it look like it's this cool lifestyle, she might come on board, but then again, she might not,
Yeah.
That's all you can do is set the example.
And then for women that lose weight, I know this is not the best answer, but sometimes using social media to track their weight loss is good, because what's something that motivates women? Attention, right? So as she's getting more attractive, she's losing weight, she's going to get more people congratulating her. She may get a couple simps in the DMs like, wow, you're looking good. And that's going to be like, wow, like I'm, like, this is awesome. This is such a high. So
he added something else here, right? I live near her, but she's married to a beta who won't do shit. Dude, I guarantee she's not going to change. If she's with a guy that enables that and that's their lifestyle, and
he has to be the one to work out for. He has to be the one to be like, hey, I'm
if you can get him to do it, that might help. But otherwise, if he's not willing to do it, she's not going to do it. Unfortunately.
Glenn Lawrence says, send them to my podcast. LOL, will ask the right questions to see if the holy water worked. The holy water to cure everything, Glenn.
for the trad cons. Yeah.
Yeah. What you do is check her closets and how many XL hoodies she has. 5 or more XL hoodies. She's yeah. You gotta be careful, guys. Women will take your hoodies, your pajamas, everything.
The hoodie test, yes.
Yeah, the hoodie test. We got one of my
for the streets.
Yeah, we got one of my mods in the chat. Godspeed, what's up, man? All right, so moving on to number 4, Paul, if you're ready. Yeah. Betting for values is a narcissistic fantasy and serves to hide the true nature of women and men in order to live in the narrative it presents. By the time the masks come off, it's too late. Care to explain this one, Paul?
Well, I think what I'm assuming that what he's talking about, right, is it kind of comes down to like how when you're first dating people, there's sort of this honeymoon phase where everyone's on their best behavior. And so some chick might check your box for some of the things that you're looking for. But after 6 months to a year, their true self comes out. And some of these guys are rushing to get married. So by the time their true self is shown, like, it's probably too late. So I think that's why it's good to not rush into commitment like that, right? There's a reason why there's rules like one of Rollo's iron rules is like to not move in with a chick unless you're going to be marrying her within 6 months to a year. You have a rule of what, like no exclusivity for a certain period of time.
Yeah, for me, 3 to 6 months, but that's like if you're switched on guy, like you're you're not new to this stuff. Like you've dated around, at least, you got a handle on what women are. I'm not gonna throw out like a certain number you have to sleep with, right?
Yeah.
It could be 2 women, right? You're just like, I got it. Or it could be you got to sleep with like 10 women, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to get it, right? But I would say that 3 to 6 months, and that's you actively like paying attention, right? Paying attention to every action that she does, or so
Yeah.
I would say so. Again, it's like these guys that have these control the universe fantasies where they say, I want an unvaxxed hottie that votes Republican and bakes and wants to live in a cornfield or in a pasture somewhere and play house on the prairie. And I'm like, dude, no hot blonde chick is gonna do that. Like, very rarely do women say, hey, I'm gonna leave my friends and family and go live in the middle of nowhere with no one, and wear the dress that you want, and live in the cottage that you built for me, and we're just gonna be farmers. Like, that's a narcissistic fantasy, right?
But chicks like dark traits. So if you are a narcissist, that behooves you. No, with this sort of thing, I mean, it really just comes down to just realizing that a lot of people hide who they really are, I think, for the first 6 months to a year. And so you have to, like, yeah, is she checking my boxes? Cool.
But so can any women at the beginning, any women can,
Right.
yeah.
Everyone's on their best fucking behavior when they first meet you. And it's if they're the same person though, like after a year, you can probably feel, somewhat comfortable that that's who they are.
Yeah, and then life will test your guys' like connection over time, like death of a family member. How does she handle that?
Mhm.
Does she fall apart? Does she gain weight? Does she become a mess because, sadly,
Yeah.
one of her family members died? Or does she get sad, but like she picks herself up and she mourns correctly? Is she someone that that kind of understands reality and the reality of life, or whatever? Those are things you got to look for, right? Because there are women that with a 25 body count who are troopers. They go through life. I know women that you will look at them and they're like, man, this girl's a hoe. But like when something happens in their family, they're the first girl there to take care of business. And they're like, I got to go this weekend and go help my mom move because, dad's sick. Like, and those are things that, personally, I like when a woman cares for people outside of me, like her mom and dad, puppies, babies, anyone that, that to me is like, I want to be around a person because that shows competence and shows like that she's not a stone cold, like lifeless zombie,
She's a caring and nurturing type person, right? She's what guys would say is a submissive traditional typically, right? Like she's not just full of herself, like I only give a shit about myself, like, because that's a problem. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just a lot of this stuff, a lot of this stuff too comes down to being emotionally, like, what I like to call is lovingly detached. You have to be lovingly detached enough to be able to keep an eye on this stuff as you're going through this process, as you're doing the 6 months to a year thing. And you got to be able to be willing to walk away, at any given time. But most guys aren't. Most guys get in their feelings like immediately. They immediately start doing what guys have this problem. It's called chronesthesia, where they mentally time travel to the future. They immediately see themselves marrying this chick. They immediately see themselves with the white picket fence and like what it's going to be like having babies with this chick. And they do this in this mental fucking fantasy. And then when so then they stop looking for any of these things that are on their list. And that's where like it sort of leads into the next one where they just they're already in love with this chick and they just disregard their list completely. Right. So
And
that's where
it happens at all levels. Like you could be a newbie who's just trying to get out there. And the first girl like you see this in the military, right? The young guys in the military, the first girl that gives them attention, they want to marry, right? And then eventually you take your lumps and you get to like a certain age and you're just like the first hot chick you want to get married, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes on goes on through life. You're like the first girl that tells you you're handsome or like cooks for you, does nice things for you, right? And as a guy, you're like, you need to value yourself as a guy, right? Just because a woman does the bare minimum doesn't mean she gets a pass to be part of your life for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can cook. Anyone can. There's a lot of hot chicks, right? Just don't eat a lot and you'll be hot. Like literally just don't eat a lot of food. Don't drink Starbucks every day. And most women will be hot, right?
Yeah.
But for women in your life, you got to stop like this scarcity mindset that any girl that's like checks a couple of your boxes is all of a sudden okay. She wears blue dresses and she voted for Trump. I'm all in. You got me. You're sold. Like no, dude. Like there's women's politics and women's like way of dressing isn't always the best indicator that she's even fun to be around. Like how many of these trad wives this year on Twitter are showing how shitty they are as people? Like I would not want to be married to any of them. They all sound like they suck,
It wasn't,
and not in the good way.
it wasn't until I started really, hanging around with like the Rule Zero guys that it really just became apparent that even the TradCon girls are just looking for attention. A lot of the times they're just looking for the bearded fucking, TradCon boys, and they're just trying to like make themselves out to be like this thing, but they're all feminists on the, like they all have these feminist tendencies. They all do the same shit, even they just do it in a different way. I saw one where it was like a woman, looking for attention, right? And then it's like a woman, like a conservative woman looking for attention. It's the same picture, just with a fucking MAGA hat, like it's the same picture, So then you just got to realize, okay, women are women, like women are women.
And then there comes the piece. You just thought, you start like you do a Muse Mastery laugh, the chuckle, and then you'd be like, huh.
Yeah.
All right, we got a $2 super chat from our fellow dragon, Mike Steele.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right, Mike Steele, $2. Sorry I'm late. Here's my tuition dues. Oh man, you don't have to pay tuition dues, friend. You are the tuition. Yeah, and we got my guy Godspeed says salsa is sick. Nuke, you the go for getting me on that. Hey man, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to show you guys the way forward, how to think, not what to do. So great, thanks, man. All right, so yeah, so we can move on to number 5. Number 5, vetting creates an ego investment where a man ignores anything that is outside of his vetted criteria. If the list is wrong, it's an attack on a man's ego, and he will fight tooth and nail to protect it. This is one that gets me in trouble on Twitter all the time, right? I have tested this on Twitter so many times where I tell stories of women that I may have had them in the palm of my hand, right? But then I would tell people on the timeline, I did this for this girl, and all the guys were like, wow, you're such a simp because you did that, or wow, dude, I thought you were really like I thought you were a G, but you're not. And I'm just like, no, dude, that's not how life works, right? There are things that women bring you might not like, but if she checks enough, if she's doing the right things, you're gonna be willing to deal with it. It's just life,
Yeah.
So a lot of guys will see you, Paul, and they're like, Paul's dating a single mom. What a loser, or whatever stupid shit they say. And they don't realize that like you have found a really good person and you're happy. Like they hate that you're happy with something that wouldn't like, and that's just the purpose of the red pill. It's not about everyone, it's about the individual.
Yeah. Oh, poor nurse chick, right? Like one of the things that Ryan says too, like don't post your picture of girls, girls online, because he's like half the internet will jerk off to her, the other half will call her a mid or whatever. And of course, I made that Scarlett Johansson tweet that went viral, and so of course all the people that hate me for that, like, well, I posted a picture of our 3-year anniversary date that nurse chick and I went on, and I always cover her face with a heart eyes emoji just to keep her anonymous. But everyone's like, people are just being dicks and calling her a mid and stuff like that. They're like, you called Scarlett Johansson a mid, and this is that, and I'm like, you guys don't get it. All women are mids. Fuck off. Like that.
Yeah,
but
I've
she
woken up next
like,
to women that without any makeup, and I'm just like, whoa. They were still cute, but I'm like, damn, this is very different.
Nurse Trick treats me like a fucking king, man. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off. I don't care what you think.
So, and the reason you being happy is an attack on their ego, right? Because they need, like I said in my video Tuesday, women are not an achievement, right? They're just an eventuality. It's like if you're a guy that has his life together and are attractive and all that stuff, women will come. Like it's not something that you're just like if your high school football team wins the championship and someone breaks into the locker or into the school and steals the trophy, you're still the champion. You just don't have a trophy because someone stole it. It doesn't mean you're not the champion. You being the champion is written in stone. It happened. It was an event, right? So when you guys get this like make this list, right, about women need to be this chast, right? And I tell them, hey, yeah, I hooked up with a virgin last year. And they're like, it's the guys like you that are licking all the ice cream. I'm like, dude, she's not less of a person because she's not a virgin. Like, trust me, she's gonna find a guy one day because we're not talking anymore, but she's gonna find a guy right there one day. They may rock her world better than I will, and she's gonna make him happy. And here you are mad because some internet stranger, just so happened to take a girl's virginity. Like, yeah, you need to live in reality, dude. So
yeah.
I think ego kills men in dating. Ego destroys men in dating and makes them act stupid. It brings them a lot of pain. So yeah, the ego investments, you guys got to let them go. So
I think V also the V5 number 5. He does make sense here, right? It's like where a man ignores anything that's outside of his vetted criteria. There's good and bad to that, right? Where if the list is wrong and he feels attacked, that's a problem, right? But if he's reviewing the list periodically and reviewing and realizing like he needs to change some things or needs to add something or remove something, that's how you should be doing it, right? And I say should, right? But that's a better way of doing it. But if you're like, nope, she's got to be a virgin, she's got to be 22 years old, and you're 45, and someone's telling you like, hey man, you might want to sort of set your expectations to reality, and they won't do that, like that's a problem. But
yeah.
if they're willing to go back to the list and realize, okay, maybe this is an unrealistic expectation, maybe this isn't as important to me, or maybe I need to add more to the list and stuff, and periodically review it, that's a better way of doing it.
You know where you see this a lot on, and this is why you went viral. You told a girl, you said that Scarlett Johansson was mid, something like that, and you went super viral, right? Like even the president got a phone call and said, "Did you hear what Paul said?"
Yeah. Joe Biden's like, what's my name? Who's Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, who's Paul? Yeah, am I Paul? And the reason when you post women online and you call them mid, right, is because a lot of men, that's their ideal woman, right? And they may have slept with one or two women in their life that look like that, and that's what they like. And by you calling them mid, you are attacking not the woman, but their ego.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the big deal. That's one of the things that how to go viral on Twitter, right, is attack men's ego, but not directly, indirectly.
Yeah.
And that's why you went viral, is because you attacked, like Scarlett Johansson's a wood, right? I think she got a breast reduction, which is, haram. It's one of the biggest sins you can commit.
Yeah. How dare she? Yeah.
Yeah. But if I were to post a woman that is my ideal, and some guy on the internet said, gross, dude, really? I'd be like, yep. Look, I like what I like, bro. I can't help it. And then I laugh it off. Right. And that's how a lot of guys are ego invested into their criteria, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, what I like is the best, and my list is perfect, and anyone that says anyone about this list, whether it be physical or character or anything, is wrong. right? And if I post a chick and someone calls her, hey, dude, that she's actually kind of fat, then they'll fight on Twitter for like 3 days because it's like, no,
Yeah.
she's beautiful. And I'm like, dude, she doesn't know you. And also, not everyone's gonna like what you like, bro. There are men that are grossed out by like the type of women that you like, and that's okay. You know, it's just
There's a lot
it
of
is what
brothers
it is.
out there that like them thick, with
Yeah,
5 C's and shit. Like,
and
that's
if
not my
you
thing, but whatever.
yeah, if that's what you like, bro, that's guess what? That's how God made you. You're gonna have to get a lot of flack, but it's what you like, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I will add to this last thing, and then we can move on to the last one
Mhm.
is so it's when a man ignores anything that's outside of his vetted criteria, there is something to be said for keeping a focus on what you want, right? If you focus on your list of what you want, that does engage your reticular activating system in your brain, which it's a feature in your brain that sort of it focuses on things that you think are important, right?
Mhm.
And it sort of ignores anything that you think is not important. And so if you put on your list things that qualities that you really want in a woman, then you'll start seeing more women with those qualities out there, right? Because a lot of guys are like, oh, women are trash these days, and you got to fucking give them white claws and kick them off your podcast. It's like, well, that's because those are the type of women you're focusing on. But if you focus on what you actually want, not what you don't want, but what you want, you're going to start seeing more women with those qualities, and it's just a feature in our brain. So it's good to do that to a point,
Yeah.
I do think it is good to do that.
All right. I just want to let everyone know there's 139 of you watching. Thanks. Thanks for the super chat so far. It's been a great show.
There should be 139 likes on this video. God damn it.
Yeah. And guys in the chat, if you're on Twitter, share this on Twitter for anyone that you think or retweet it and get us up to 300, right? I think I set a record with 700 the other day. I don't know what happened. Maybe I had a really good thumbnail. It was about betas imprisoning women and alphas free them. Everyone was like obsessed with that title or something. So, yeah, like the vid, guys. Likes are free. Liking videos is alpha.
It is alpha. Everybody knows.
All right. Moving on. Let's go to number 6. Even if the masks are off and humans are naked and honest in their interactions, which they aren't, vetting offers a snapshot into someone's values, not a longitudinal assessment. It has the same longevity as an MBTI assessment. It's astrology for the educated. So what Ryan means by this is that there have been studies where they make women or people take MBTIs, and their results vary on the time of day, how they feel that day.
Mhm.
Different times throughout the year it changes, right? Same thing with vetting, where you could be like, man, this girl's pleasant right here, right now. And then later on, she gets more bitchy, and you're just like, wait, what happened? I thought I vetted her correctly, right? So you start thinking, oh, she just isn't the person I thought she was. It could be you. It could be that maybe you got complacent, and she's stuck with a guy that she thought was going to be the guy, but you're a complacent dork or something like that. So what do you think of that, Paul?
Well, Jesus Christ, if you're putting in an emotional criteria for your like what I want, it's like emotions are fleeting. They come and go, they change. They change with the wind, and with women it's 9 times what it's happening with us when it comes to emotion. So it's not a good idea to put something that's emotional on your list. It's got to be a quantifiable, I think, trait if you're gonna have a list at all. What else is here? It's not a longitudinal assessment. It's a snapshot. Oh, so it's like how they are. It's how they are right now. It doesn't. It could change over time too. I think that's kind of an important thing.
Well, that's how women trick us into marriage, because they say, I'm going to act like this exact way, and then once I get married or have the kid, then I can change, right?
So if you're using this list for someone that to get married, right? If I think marriage is trash, but that's just me, right? But if this is what you're doing to try to get into a relationship, and let's say you do have something on there, like you want a woman that's trim and fit, that takes fitness seriously. Like right now, to get a boyfriend, she might be really into fitness. And then when you get into this long-term relationship, she stops doing that because that's a lot of people do that. 90 like 95% of people do that, right?
Most people, yeah.
They break up. They're like, oh shit, I'm back on the dating market. I better hit the gym, and they lose all that weight, right? They get those revenge bodies, and then they get into a relationship, and then they get lazy again. So yeah, I mean, I can see why that would be problematic. I can't even argue with that. Like that, if you are with a girl and you're like, okay, nope, she's really into fitness like me, and you know, she eats right and all that kind of stuff, and that's on your list, and she's that way now. It's one of those things where it's like, man, what happens if she's not like that 10 years from now? You know, but I think you can only control the controllable, right? So as long as you don't let yourself get complacent, and that's a value for you, then you just got to lead by example with that. And then you also got to be willing to dump that bitch, you know what I mean?
Walk
Like,
away. Yeah, walk away.
you know, it'd be like, hey, this is not what I signed up for. This isn't working out for me, you know?
Yeah.
So I can see where he's getting at with that though. Cause yeah, cause something like that, that's a really good example of that could change down the road because she was only trim and fit to get a long-term commitment from me or even get married. Nurse chick, we like to call it like when chicks are like really hypersexual with you. I just did a stream about this. Like they're really good and they're really hypersexual with you until you put a ring on it, and then they become starfish. She's like, those chicks were bobbing for diamonds, you know, they were putting up an act to lock you down, and then once they get there, it was all facade. So that's another problem with marriage, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 7.
Yeah.
Vetting is often done to the exclusion of actual relationship strategies. Boundary enforcement is far superior and doesn't require a lifetime of instilling feminine values in a man in order to understand them. This is the one I harp on the most, right? Because a lot of guys, the reason they want to vet and they're so obsessed with these qualities that they learned on a podcast or something is that they don't want to do the work of maintaining their woman happy and maintaining themselves happy, right? Because it's easier to be like, I want a girl that's submissive than to be the type of guy that any woman or most women would be submissive to, right? So that means you can't be a Miller Lite dad and come home and sit on the couch and watch the game every day after work, right? You have to be present with, if you have kids, present with your kids. You have to be a rock star in bed. You have to be strong and, you know, you have to be fit and shape. You have, you know, take care of yourself, hygiene. There's men that let their hygiene slip, you know, they just don't care anymore. They don't even shower. Like they'll shower once a day and that's it, you know, or once every, you know, like there are guys that just let it go. But you vetting in that snapshot moment for a girl that will allow you to be complacent is not a good strategy. You want a girl that is great, right? But also has an expectation of you, right? Just like you have expectations of her. And I always say that to like women I date. I'm just like, I'm always going to go to the gym. I don't care how old I am. I don't care if you're divorcing me. I don't care if we're having a child. I'm going to go to the gym, right? And I value fitness, regardless. I don't care. I understand that women, after they have kids, they put on a little weight, but, you know, not 60 pounds, maybe 15, but not like 50, 60 pounds. That's just, you know, and you got to let them know that you're fit now, but I expect you to be fit. And if you're not, you know, implicitly, I'm leaving because I value health. That's just who I am, you know? So as long as you have to put in the work constantly. You have to be the guy that has his boundaries set, right? And not rely off a snapshot vetting process of about 3 months when you first meet her for the rest of her life, you know? So.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that too, right? You have to set the tone and lead. And if you're going to set the tone and lead, you have to do it in all areas of your life and your relationship, you know? So if fitness is important to you, you got to lead by example, you know? I agree with that. And then, and boundary enforcement, man, there's a reason why the sidebar in the Married Red Pill has certain books, and there's a certain like order of the books you need to be reading, you know, like No More Mr. Nice Guy. You got to learn When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. You guys got to read that book. That one.
I'm reading it right now. I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, dude, it's repetitive as hell, but that repetition is the mother of skill.
Beats it into your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of that is you recognize like how a lot of people manipulate you with language. The whole book, every example in that book of manipulative language, I was just like, that's my mom, dude. That's my mom. That's how my mom talks. She puts guilt trips on you all the time. If anyone's putting a guilt trip on you, that's manipulation. And it's okay to say no, right?
A real man would, a nice person would,
yeah,
all
whatever.
that
Yeah, whatever. And so that book is a fantastic book about assertive language and being able to set boundaries and enforce those boundaries. Frame is paramount, so you guys got to read Ryan's first book on frame, because if your frame is shit, you're not going to be able to enforce those boundaries. So there's a reason why in this space we have these certain maxims and these rules, and we tell you certain things because it's important for actually managing these types of relationships and stuff like that, right?
Because you will have to tell the woman, the love of your life, no, and she will cry. And and what are you gonna do? Fold? Then she knows that if she cries, she can get whatever she wants, right?
She cries, and you say, "You just keep that crying up, and I'll give you something to cry about." Give you something to cry about, and then give her a wink. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Bobbing for diamonds. No, nurse chick, the old bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing she sees it a lot in her industry, right? Where a lot of fit women meet men and then they just let themselves go after marriage. I mean, I guess everyone sees it. Everyone has a family member or a friend that
I'm that guy. We harp on women. I was that guy. I let myself go when I was married. I got fat, and I think it contributed to the end of my marriage, And so I got to a point where I'm just like, never again, dude. Never again. But it's not me telling other women what to do. It's me fucking holding myself accountable. And a lot of us, we talk about women they're allergic to accountability. It's like most men out there don't know how to hold themselves accountable. Fuck off,
yeah, they can't not have a Krispy Kreme donut. It's too hard, or pizza, or a whole 6-pack of beer after work every day. But yeah. So those are the 7 rules. We've talked about them. We've chatted up. So where is it that we disagree again?
I don't think we disagree. I think we are in agreement, and I think a lot of it comes down to how it's put into practice, right? Are you doing it in an effective way? And what Ryan's arguing, I think, about is most people aren't doing this in an effective way, and a lot of it comes down to figuring out what the fuck do you want, right?
Yeah, and not being like, let the ego go for terms of like, if you choose a girl, if you choose wrong and the girl doesn't turn out to be good according to your list, dude, no one cares. Like, yeah, it's not it's not a big deal. Just go back to your list. Maybe you're like, hey, you didn't know something, or you thought you liked something, or this was actually a bad idea, and you move on. Like, no one is out here. No one's like looking at your report card of women you date, and laughing. Unless all you date is fat chicks, then probably people will. Be like,
we're laughing at you for that. No, just kidding. But, unless you're a brother, because then that you guys like what you like. But Paul, that's racist. Paul, that's racist. Guys. So in my book, like I'm going to plug my book here. In my book, I have a chapter or a subchapter, or a chapter on long-term relationships, right? The first subchapter in that, I call it the contenders list. And the contenders list is about creating a list, for vetting women, right? But it's based under the idea of you being your own mental point of origin, figuring out what the fuck do you want and how do you want this relationship to be for you. It's not a guarantee. And I think that's another thing that Ryan's thing points out, right? It's not a guarantee. There are no guarantees, if you want to get married and that's what you want to do and that's a value for you, do it. But just understand there's no guarantee. There's this thing called divorce. It could happen at any time.
Yeah.
You know,
Even the most
and
religious women get divorced. You know?
and the vetting, the vetting list won't prevent that, and that's not what it's designed for. You know, so it's almost like
The step in, it's like a get your foot in the door, get a woman's foot in the door. That's it. Foot in the door.
yeah,
Like for me, vetting is like the number one thing is that she showed up on the date. That
that's your number one thing. Yeah, does she is she
because
hot?
because I can vet women all day, but if she doesn't like me back enough to show up on a date, then there's nothing. So that's you can't be on a guy on the internet like women have to be like this and like that. I'm like, well, are those women that you're putting in a box in your little box of perfection of what's are they showing up on dates with you? Are these women the one you're dating that no, right? It's because you're just saying things on the internet and you're not living in reality. Like
Yeah,
if I asked several different types of women to date, and then we go from there, right? Number one is always like, does she like me? You know, that's number one always. And as time goes on, she's not gonna like give up and change her life for you day one, but over time, she slowly understands what your program is, and she's either a part of it or not. And you may
Yeah.
have several programs, like you have a program where it's like, hey, casual, where you just show up on Fridays, we have drinks, we have fun, and that's it. Or you have a program where it's just like, hey, I'm a busy guy. I'll squeeze you in when I can. I want you to be in my life, but I can't, do a lot right now. This little short section of my life.
Yeah.
Depends on you, right? And vetting, see how vetting would change in that situation, right? You may be a guy who just got a divorce. You do like women that maybe were like your wife in the beginning of a relationship of your relationship, right? But right now, you just kind of want to have fun. You're okay with some sluts, you want to go have fun with sluts, and that's okay, dude. Your vetting changed because this list it changes over time in different situations.
Yeah. One thing. So one of the things that I've seen over the years, because I learned about the way I talk about it in my book. I learned it from Corey Wayne and also Dr. Robert Glover. They both talk about it. And what I've seen over the years that guys get wrong with it is that what they'll do is they will create a list of things that they want. And then every girl that's nice to them, they try to fit them in the boxes as opposed to
force fitting. Yeah.
Right. As opposed to really trying to figure out if she already has these qualities that are in these boxes. Right. And as soon as she doesn't match one of your criteria, right? Because I talk about highlighting like your top 5. I was like, if she doesn't match all 5 of your top 5, she's not a contender, so she's just a plate, and that's okay. You could have this chick could be fun and she's just a plate. That's all right. You just don't do anything serious with her. No problem. There's no reason why you can't keep fucking spinning her as a plate, so a lot of these guys are too busy trying to make every girl that they talk to their girlfriend. And it's like, stop doing that.
Yeah. Well, they leave long relationships, and the only way they know how to deal with women is like as if they were in a relationship. So they call to make sure she's okay. They worry about her. I'm like, dude, she's not your wife. She doesn't care. Like, this is the awesome part about being single, right? Like being married can be awesome if she's a good girl, but being single could also be awesome because you don't have to worry about the things you do in a relationship. Right.
Yeah. There
are girls that will see hair from other women or a brush from other women, look at it, and they're like, huh, yeah, cool. He gets other women. I'm cool. As long as I don't catch anything from this guy. I don't care. Like, I'm here to have fun too. Don't care. And, that's just, it's a lot of men get into this mentality where they have to treat women a certain, like, dude, your list changed. Like, what do you want in a slut? Like, think about the dirtiest girl you've ever seen or been with. Is that what you
on
like?
Your list.
Yeah. I like women. Like as a guy, if I was a guy looking, and a girl was like really trying to get with me, I'd be like, oh, okay. First thing is like, is she likable? Like, is she chill? Like, if I'm streaming or playing piano or doing something, is she quiet and doing her thing and giving me peace?
Yeah.
Like that's something that it's like value that.
That's one thing I talk about in the book too. It's like, all guys want a hot chick, right? So you can almost always just take that off the table. On your list, you want to put down the qualities that make her enjoyable to be around, like, is she a kind and nurturing person? that's the kind of quality you want in there. Like everyone knows you want a chick with big tits. I mean, you could put that on there. You can put that on your list, but like the important stuff on there needs to be these other kind of qualities because beauty fades over time, right?
Yeah, you're gonna get bored of the boobs in about 6. I mean, boobs are always awesome, but like,
yeah. But bitchy and
yeah,
insufferable is forever. It's forever.
I've been with women where I was just like, it was only looks, right? I mean, they were, I guess, fun and they weren't horrible, but then like, I didn't even notice her body after a couple months. I mean, during sex, right? But like, the novelty wore off. Like, I started really like I was looking for, do I really like this chick or was it the body? And then I realized, oh, it was just the looks. Like, I didn't even, and you may say I wasted her time. I mean, she had a great time too, but when you're single, certain things matter more and certain things matter less. I just say like, hey, if you're a single dude, have fun. You like goth chicks, go have fun with goth chicks. Like, no, like you don't have to marry them, bro. Like, it's okay. But if you're with a woman that's slowly trying to become part of your life, then you have to take it more seriously. Not literally, but more seriously. So yeah. But yeah, I don't think we really disagree on anything. I'm a single guy and you're a guy in a relationship. So I guess, we just attack the vetting. I don't do a lot of vetting. The only thing I vet is whether she likes me or not and that she looks like her pictures on online dating apps. That's all.
I venture to say that most people don't vet. Most people aren't out there vetting, you know what I mean? But I was, I was the kind of guy out there when I was out spinning plates. I enjoyed the spinning plates thing, but I was very intentional with it. I was like, I do like being in a long-term relationship. I do like that. I'm never getting married, but I do like being in a a monogamous long-term relationship. That's what I'm into. And so to find a girl that was worth that kind of effort, I made the list. But I was out spinning plates and there was tons of chicks that didn't fit the criteria, but they were fun. I was like, well, fuck it, whatever, just have fun.
It's you didn't become crazy. Did you become like less of a man or more degenerate because,
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta be degenerate. But no, it was like, it was more like I was patient. Like I wasn't in a hurry to be locked down.
You were needy. You were not needy.
No, like I let go of that attachment to outcome. You got to let go of the attachment to outcome, and you just got to be like, let's see where this goes. And you're gonna date a ton of chicks. Most of that's not gonna work out. Like most first dates don't go anywhere. That's just the nature of the beast. That's okay. And you just got to enjoy the process. Like I was like, I'm going to enjoy going out and talking to these chicks, even if it doesn't work out, because it's all practice. I started looking at it like it was a science experiment. And once I changed my mentality of it, instead of trying to make every girl I met on an app or whatever, like, oh, this is it. She's the one. It was like, let's just see where this goes. Because that's how most chicks date. Is if you start dating like chicks date, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. Half of the red pills, we just use their strategies on them and they don't like it, but it's just,
they just don't like because we could do it better.
Yeah, fire. We're just fighting fire with fire, right? That's like where make yourself your own point of origin. That's innate female solipsism, where they kind of look at themselves and like, how do I fit into this? Like, how does this benefit me?
Yeah.
And then we applied it. Look how happy everyone is when they watch out for themselves. It's awesome. But yeah, man. I don't got too much more to say. Just guys, there's a whole archive called the Red Pill Archive, full of articles. Just type in what you want. They have Rolo's work, Ryan's work, Dalrock. If you're religious, there's Married Red Pill posts archives in there. There's something for everyone, right? The Red Pill is for everyone. You don't have to use every part of the Red Pill all the time, but there are
some of it you can't take seriously. I've been doing streams where I'm reading various posts from the Red Pill archive, and I just go through and break it down and give my 2 cents. I did one the other day on it was how to tell if you're being used for your beta bucks or whatever, right? It was a fucking ridiculous
they're hilarious. A lot of times they're funny.
And so I went through and just talk about like how stupid some of these things were. Like, if she was in college, she's using you, right? It was like, what? Because she's educated? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like,
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
just
yeah.
yeah, but like again, like yeah, don't take it take it seriously, don't take it literally because there's no bouncer at the door. There's people that are gonna tell you things, but remember, your vetting is for you. Get rid of that outcome dependence that you have, you know. And once I let go of my outcome independence, girls liked me more because I like through the way I carried myself, my language, and all that stuff. They felt like, hey, if I rejected this guy right now or I said no, he would not be mad. And one of the reasons women lie to you and lead you on is because they're scared of what you'll say if they say no or to fuck off, right? So if you become that guy that's like, you know, not a big deal, cool. Like there was a girl that I said, hit her up and said, hey, let's hang out. Like I want to see you, and she told me, hey, I'm actually seeing someone. I had seen this girl for almost 2 years at that point, or almost a year and a half. And a lot of guys would be like, wow, that's messed up, and I was like, nope. I stopped myself and I said, good luck, don't mess this up. Right. And guess who was the first guy she went to when her new relationship didn't work out? She went back to me. Right. And instead of injecting my ego and this vetting, outcome dependence, I just said, hey, I'm just gonna wish her good luck. And guess what? Now she knows I'm the type of guy that she can come running to when things don't work out and give lots of fun sex and hang out and stuff like that. So if I want, right, I could not want it anymore and all that. So yeah, man. Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for coming on. Taking time out of your day to be here.
Yeah,
Go ahead and plug your stuff, man. Oh, and final thoughts and plug your stuff in.
Yeah, about losing the attachment to outcome without getting religious, right? But Buddha taught us thousands of years ago or whatever that all human suffering comes from attachment.
Mhm.
I'm not a Buddhist, but once you
Makes
realize
sense.
once you realize that guy figured things out by sitting under a tree for like 3 months or something or however long it was, it does make sense, right? So you got to let go of that attachment to the outcome. I dropped a link in the chat there for my book. It is available on Audible if you guys like Audible instead of reading books. RP Thor did the narration for it. I have a dating course, an online dating course that I'm making 50% off for the entire month of May. So I'll drop a link to that as well. Other than that, my podcast, first thing in the morning, tomorrow morning is going to be live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm doing a series on the Book of Puck. And so tomorrow, if you guys aren't familiar with the Book of Puck, it's a highly recommended reading book in the red pill space. And tomorrow's chapter is on why being perfect is boring. So tune into that. It's going to be fun. Have you read Book of Puck?
I used to follow an account. I know what Book of Puck is. I've never read it though. I used to follow their account.
Oh yeah, the Book of Puck
yeah.
bot on Twitter.
Yeah, I kind of skipped over that one in my red pill journey. I started 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah,
Artists, all that, and then I ended up with Rolo, and from there on,
Well, Jack did the narration for an audiobook.
Right. Yeah.
So if you hit him up, he'll probably give it to you for free.
Yeah.
But hit him up. His version is really fucking good. So if you like audiobooks, listen to his version. It's well worth it. It's a phenomenal, compilation. So
yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Paul. My final thoughts is like what's gonna get you, is don't take seriously what the gods made for fun, right? In this vetting process, the number one reason you date is for fun. That's it. It's not to find a woman to complete you. Women want to enjoy your completeness. They don't want to complete you. They hate that. They'll say, hey, every man needs a woman, but you're already complete. You vetted yourself. Vetting yourself is number one. You vet yourself, meaning you find out what you want, you go after what you want. You're gonna realize kicking girls to the curb or having them jump on board is so much easier when you have your path forward and women become a complement to your life instead of this life or death vetting scenario where if you get one where they don't check one thing on because some alpha guru said, hey, you gotta sleep with an unvaxxed chick or a virgin or a girl that voted for Trump. I'm like, there are girls that are liberal that are better wives than girls that vote Republican, and they'll convert to whatever political ideology you follow. Doesn't matter. They will do it because genuine burning desire that's how it works. They're like, oh, this guy is the best I can do. Whatever you say, daddy, we'll move wherever you go. We'll do whatever you want to do. Right. But you got to be the type of guy that doesn't care anyway. Right. And that's the hard part. So thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone. And tune in tomorrow to Paul's show at 10 a.m. Links right there. And I'll see you guys on Rule Zero. Peace out.
You're not ready yet.